Hello dear students, welcome to the third part of childhood and adolescence. In this particular module, we will be discussing about adolescence. Adolescence, as we all know, is a very interesting phase in anybody's life. This is a stage of life which is roughly between 12 years to 20 years of age, and this is a stage which is considered to be synonymous with lots of feelings, emotions, conflicts and issues of identity and identity crisis. Now, let us try to understand adolescence in very brief. It is derived from the Latin word adolescere, which means to grow into adulthood. It roughly refers to the third decade or the second decade, second decade in a person's life, that is from 12 years of age to 20 years of age. And in all societies, it is a time of growing up from immaturity of childhood to the maturity of adulthood. And it is a very interesting phenomenon that all over the world adolescence is basically considered to be this particular phase, typically the teenage years, and puberty marks the biological transition from childhood to adolescence. Now let us look at, I found a very interesting picture of adolescence, the anatomy of a teenager's brain, and we can see that it's very interesting in the sense that the entire brain is divided into different portions. There is the birds and the bees lobe, the biggest one, and then there are number of other portions of the brain which are very pertinent in a teenager's psyche. For example, the rebellion center, the super turbo rebellion center, the center of universe center, the cool gauze, the memory for music, love for parents and disdain for parents in equal measures. There will be times when teenagers, they have this innate urge for loving their parents, and there are times when they cannot stand their parents at all. Then they have the self image, fitting in gland, every episode of different series, whatever they are seeing, and all answers, slam door reflex, car keys craving, and very small portions in the brains to be attributed to memory for course, homework, judgment gland, ability to be seen in public with parents, peer pressure resistance, prone to and peer pressure resistance. So we can see that these are some of the notions which are associated with the typical teenage stage, and we all have gone through that stage. Now in this particular module, we will be discussing about some of the major concerns which are there in a life of adolescence. Typically, that is identity exploration and identity crisis, mental health disorders, that is the internalizing behaviors and the externalizing behaviors, risky or illegal behaviors such as physical fights, legal consequences, pregnancies, infectious diseases, sexually transmitted diseases, smoking, substance abuse, illegal driving, violent behaviors, etc., eating disorders, effect of media on teenagers. So first of all, let us try to discuss about self-identity. What is self-identity and what leads to identity crisis? Now this is a stage which is considered to be very pertinent in development of for anybody, and this is a stage where children or adolescents are, they are trying to come to terms with their own self, they are trying to explore their own selves, and this is a stage where they are wanting to come out of the control of parents and trying to explore the world. And at this stage also there are a lot of changes which are happening on a physical level, lot of changes which are happening on an emotional level, and and other facets of growth and development. So in the words of Erikson, a subjective sense as well as an observable quality of personal sameness and continuity, paired with some belief in the sameness and continuity of some shared word image. In him we see emerge a unique unification of what is irreversibly given: body type and temperament, giftedness and vulnerability, infantine models and acquired deals, occupational possibilities, values offered, mentors met, friendships made, and first sexual encounters. So we can see that this stage is comprised of so many different kinds of experiences, and the adolescents are dealing with all of these things at the same time, not fully understanding what is good, what is right, what is wrong for them, trying to make sense of the world in their own way, not trying to take everything what is given to them by their parents, trying, testing, experimenting, revolting, and coming to their own understanding of the world around them. So this is a stage wherein all of these different you can say clashes or conflicts are there. This is a stage at which identity develops, which serves as a basis for adult life, and the sense of self expands to include personality traits, future aspirations, attitudes, etc. So adolescents, as this stage, when you try to ask them ki, how do you understand your own self, they will try to define themselves by the ideas they support, by the values they support, what is it that they would want to be in future, what are their inherent personality traits. So all of these are inherent understanding of an adolescent's self concept. Now, in previous module also we had discussed about Erikson's theory, and in this particular stage, that is adolescence, the typical conflict revolves around identity versus role confusion. Now this is a stage in which adolescents, they are trying to find an identity for themselves. If they are able to find a consistent identity for themselves, they come out as happy beings, and if they are not able to come out with a identity for themselves, it becomes role confusion for them. So it is this is a stage which is very crucial for anybody. Marcia has Marcia has explained a little bit more on Erikson's theory and has come out with 4 different statuses. Now they are not in chronological order, and every adolescence, on the basis of 3 factors, that is the sexual orientation, set of values and ideals, and vocational direction, can be placed under 4 different kinds of stages or 4 different kinds of statuses. It may be so possible that one person is at one stage and never goes on to the other statuses. So they are not stages, they are statuses independently. The first one is diffusion. Diffusion is a stage, or it is a status in which the individual is not yet ready to explore the world and not has come to a conclusion about his or her own self identity. So this is a status of diffusion. The second one is foreclosure. Foreclosure is when the adolescent has come to a conclusion about his or her identity, which may pertain to sexual orientation, which may pertain to set of values, and which may pertain to vocational direction. The individual himself or herself has not explored much on his or her own, but has taken on things which are given to him or her by somebody, say parents. The parents have decided on the vocational course of action which this particular adolescent needs to take. So that has become a kind of his or her identity. So this status is known as the foreclosure. The another status is moratorium. Moratorium is a state when the individual is exploring and still has not come to a particular conclusion about his or her identity. So it is a state where the individuals are just exploring and they are still not decided on their identity, what is it that they are going to be in future. And achievement, the last status is achievement. It is a status in which the individuals, they have explored on various aspects such as their sexual orientation, their set of values and ideals, vocational direction, and they have come to a conclusive you can say conclusion about their identity in all of these areas or some of these areas. So this is basically their search of self identity. Now there are a number of factors upon which this concept or their development of self identity depends, and prominent among them is, say, academic achievement. Now number of studies have been done in the field of academic achievement and self concept. So though it may be said that now it is difficult to understand their interrelationship, it may be at times it is considered that positive self concept leads to higher academic achievement, or there is it a possibility that the higher academic achievement leads to positive self concept. So it's basically I mean it's a kind of thing where one can influence the other or the other may get influenced by the foremost thing. But yes, academic achievement and self identity, they can be there is a relationship between them. Then we have physical appearances, attractiveness or disabilities or hot and cool index. Now, this is a stage where physical appearances matter a lot. Everybody wants to be physically attractive, and especially physically attractive to the opposite sex, because at this stage the attractions for opposite sex become very, very strong. So, people who consider themselves to be physically attractive, or who are considered to be physically attractive by the peer group, they are very strong on their self concept, and people who are not accepted by their peers, or who think that they are not physically attractive, can be a little low on their self concept. Attractiveness, then disabilities. Children, that is why we say adolescents who have some disabilities, it is, if the environment is encouraging enough, they can come out with a very positive self concept. But if the environment is not accommodating, or if the environment is not encouraging that way, they may come out with a negative kind of a self concept. The hot or coolness index. Now, these are some of the words or vocabulary which are used by the adolescents these days world over. How hot or how cool a person is, and what is the exact definition of being hot, or what is the exact definition of being cool, is something which needs to be discussed or deliberated upon. But this is something which matters a lot for adolescents. Then social skills or personality, how good a person is, how good a person carries himself or herself in front of the peers, or in front of the social group settings, etc., etc. They are a contributing factor. Then increased peer approval, or decreased parental influence. Self identity is increasingly determined by how peers approve a person. If there is peer approval, the self identity जो है it's basically self identity is more or less defined by how somebody is perceived within the peer group rather than what the parents perceive. So this is a stage where children or adolescents, they are coming out of childhood, they are coming out of the notions and perceptions of their parents, and they are trying to understand things from what the peer group is trying to convey to them, and therefore the influence of peer group is quite high as compared to the parental influence. Then the next point is family environment and parenting. As we have already discussed, that family environment plays a very important role in the lives of adolescents and in the lives of children. Actually, the role of the parents is very important, not just only for children, for adolescents also. So there is a very interesting, you can say, a kind of a theory that the parents are important not only for children. Children, they require control. Children, they require a very strong, solid, you can say, support system. Children need to understand what is it that is to be done, and what is it that is not to be done. They at times may not understand the hows and whys of something, whether it is to be done or not, because of their limited, you can say, development, emotional and moral developments. But at the stage of adolescence, they are in a more position to understand things, so they may not accept whatever their parents are saying. But parenting at this stage, if the parents are a little permissive, if they let the adolescents go out, explore, but in their minds, if the adolescent, if they create this kind of an understanding in the minds of the adolescents that they are always welcome back, so they will go experiment, come to their own conclusions, and they have the safe haven of their parents, which is there out to them, and they are able to come back to this. So this kind of a support system is required for adolescents in order to come to a good, in order to actually acquire a self identity of their own. So parenting is very important. A very authoritative kind of a parenting is not considered to be very good for developing. And these days we also talk of the helicopter parenting, wherein the parents are continuously hovering over the child and trying to keep track of each and everything. At this stage, it is very important for the parents to understand that let the children go out and explore the world. Let them see out things for themselves, because the parents are not going to be with the child or with the adolescent forever. So it is now a child, or the adolescent is a new individual. Let this individual go out, experience life, come to his or her own conclusions about himself or herself. And then if this kind of permission, this thing is given, the adolescent is going to recognize and come back to the parents with a renewed kind of or with a new kind of self identity. Then recognition in various fields in sports. So how recognized a person is, if people, they are recognized in the fields, in different say activities or sports, it is likely to help them in defining a more you can say more conclusive kind of self identity for them. Now let us try to discuss about behavioral issues. It is generally said that it is very difficult to control the behavior of adolescents. They can have a lot of behavioral issues, like they can be hyperactive or disruptive or defiant or antisocial or aggressive or violent behavior. So these are some of the behaviors which are associated with adolescents, and it is generally considered that it is extremely difficult to take care or to control the behavior of students. Now let us try to understand why the adolescents, they behave in this manner. These behaviors, that is being disruptive, defiant, antisocial, aggressive, violent, they are considered to be externalizing behavioral problems. That means there is something within, and these are just the overt manifestations of things which are lying within. So let us now try to understand what is these factors which are lying within. So the factors which are lying within may be cognitive impairment, or poor relationship with parents, or inconsistent parenting, family adversity, poverty, social disadvantage, individual risk factors, personality traits, relationship with peers, or at times even genetic reasons. Say for example, if there are some kind of impairments, say a learning disability is there. So a learning disability, and the person is say of average or above average intelligence, the child can understand, or this adolescent can understand ki, okay, there are certain deficiencies in me and I am not as good as others, because I may not be able to read as good as others, or I may not be able to write as good as others. And the obvious question which comes is ki, why me? So this can lead to a lot of dissatisfaction, this can lead to a lot of aggression, and there can be certain acting out behaviors. So that is, these are known as, the basic problem is somewhere else, it is within, and it is maybe some kind of issues concerning self concept, that I am not as good as others when it comes to writing, or say doing mathematics. So because of these issues, the adolescent may be acting out in those behaviors, or it can be maybe because of poor parenting skills, say, or inconsistent parenting. Parents at times are very generous, and they are okay with anything and everything, and at times can try to be very, very constricting and not letting the adolescent do anything. This kind creates a kind of a confusion in the minds of children also, and in the minds of adolescent also. Say for example, something which is permissible for the boy child or boy adolescent is not permissible for the girl student, or girl child, or the girl adolescent. These kinds of inconsistent parenting tactics can create lot of turmoil in the minds of children as well as adolescents. Family adversities, say if the family is going through a tough phase, then the adolescents may feel themselves responsible, or they may feel helpless or anxious or depressed, and can act out in different kinds of behaviors, these disruptive behaviors, or extreme poverty. If the family is crippling with the basic 2 meals a day, how can we expect people or the adolescents to be taking care of other social and ethical morals and values? So in those cases, these externalizing behaviors, they are not considered to be such a big deal for the adolescent as well as for the family members. Then there are individual risk factors. Some people by personality are more prone to showing disruptive behaviors. Then relationship with peers, if the relationships or the kind of social group in which you are moving. So if your peer group is more aggressive, more violent, or if you are a part of a member or a gang in which are into these activities, the adolescents may also emulate things from their peer group, or it may be genetic reasons also. Certain kind of factors like aggression, they run in families. So these factors can also be there. Another kind of behavioral issues may be the internalizing. That means in the case of externalizing is the overt behaviors, and internalizing is when there are problems, again they are within, but the way they are manifesting is different. So it may manifest themselves in the form of anxiety or depression or withdrawal behaviors. So, and again factors may be the temperament of the person, the family environment, adverse parental practices like being extremely critical, hostile, inconsistent, harsh practices, controlling, restrictive, over involved or less accepting. So, if all of these practices, parenting practices, can create a havoc in the psyche of any adolescent. So, these are certain things which deeply influence the behaviors of adolescents. Now, let us discuss very some of the eating disorders which are prevalent in adolescents and children also. There are three basic eating disorders: anorexia, bulimia and binge eating. Anorexia is a condition in which a child refuses to eat sufficient calories out of an intense and irrational behavior of fear of becoming fat. So, and this is a deeply psychological disorder in which a person may see, or a child or adolescent may see himself or herself to be extremely fat, whereas he or she may be maybe very very thin and even maybe malnourished, but when he or she sees himself or herself in front of a mirror, may see a completely distorted image of himself or herself. That is anorexia. Bulimia is a condition in which a child grossly overeats, that is binging, and then purges the food or vomit out the food using laxatives to prevent weight gain. So it's a process of the person is continuously eating and then vomiting, and because of this behavior, there number of associated health reasons are also there. The third type of disorder is binge eating. That means the person has no control over his or her eating, will tend to eat and overeat, and in this case most of these children or adolescents, they are obese or overweight. So, now let us try to understand what causes these eating disorders. So, it is a combination of psychological and social factors like low self-esteem, feelings of helplessness, peer pressure, body shaming, parental pressure or expectations. So, if a person is having less self-esteem, will try to see or will tend to see that he or she is overweight and will not eat. Anorexia. Feelings of helplessness, at times it so happens when you are feeling so helpless that there is no option but to stand in front of the refrigerator and eat whatever is there. Peer pressure, yes, these days for adolescents peer pressure is a huge, if they are very very cautious about the way they are looking and the way the body looks like. The parental pressure, the parents are also at times force the children to look in a certain manner. Depression, little control over emotions, role of media, distress, anxiety, distorted body image. So, when distorted body images, they are actually something else, but when they look into the mirror, they actually look at something else. So, in case of say anorexia especially, when they stand in front of the mirror, they may be very very thin, but they look at themselves or they find themselves to be extremely obese, and then as a result they will again not eat, and it can have a lot of health issues and psychological issues. Now, let us look at the second kind of concern, that is social media and mental health. Now, social media these days is very important and everybody is into social media. There are a number of social networking websites as well as professional media, professional working, you can say networking websites are there. And for a person to be keeping abreast of whatever is happening around the world, the social media or the internet in general is considered to be the main media. There are a number of positive aspects to this also. So, judicious use of media or social media is good for social well-being. It brings about positive mental health. It is very beneficial in being in touch in real time with family and friends. It in touch with happenings which are happening around the world in various fields. And sharing of work ideas, it's a very beautiful platform for sharing of work, of whatever you are doing, whatever your thoughts and ideas are, sharing your creative abilities. But it has number of negative side effects also. It can lead to addiction, and yes, we can say that these days a lot of people are addicted to social media and their devices. Fear of missing out, FOMO, that means it's such a urge that even before they can open their eyes in the morning, the phone has to be there in their hands, and they need to see what's there, what notifications are there, how many likes they have got, how many dislikes, or how many, I mean, messages they have got. So, and if they do not see these things, they feel they are missing out. Feelings of being disconnected, increased risk of depression and anxiety, feelings of isolation and unhappiness, negative self-concept and self-esteem, sleep deprivation, statistics of likes and social media envy. This is again something which adolescents are very concerned about, how many likes they have got and how many likes that their peer group or friends have got. So it's a kind of a mad race of getting maximum likes and maximum likes and comments. Instances of stalking and bullying are also being experienced these days, and there is, I mean, the tendency of teenagers and adolescents having a fake persona online. They are something else, but then they try to project themselves in social media with number of filters which are there. They will try to look beautiful or handsome in a manner which gets them all the social approval, or they feel very happy about being having so many friends online, whereas in real life they may not be in touch with even their immediate family or friends or this thing. So a notion of a fake persona, a fake online life is there, which can be extremely you can say harmful for the individuals in the long run. Now, there are a number of violent behavior patterns which are also seen among adolescents: physical confrontation, bullying, child abuse, gang membership, use of firearms, etc. Now, why are these things happening among adolescents? There are a number of reasons: poverty, exposure to violent games and content from a very early age, and these series, especially the online series also, which show violence to be a part and parcel of life, and there is, I mean, and there is so much of violence that uh, people or children and adolescents, they become immune to it. So nothing happens if they see a person dying or blood coming out, and mindless killings and all of those things. So it creates a kind of a you can say different kinds of thinkings among adolescents. Violent disciplinary methods, if they have experienced violence right from their childhood, they will tend to think that it's a normal part and parcel of life. Distorted notions of machoism, this is also very important. There is a certain notion, especially among boys, of being macho, and this being macho would mean that you are very strong physically and you are able to beat up others. So these things also lead to a lot of fights and gang fights among attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, conduct disorders, these different disorders can be there, and mental health issues can be there, environmental factors can also be there. Now, let us come to another very important issue with adolescence, that is the unsafe sexual practices. Adolescence is a stage of experimentation, and this is also a stage of development where the judgment of the adolescents may not be very well developed. It is generally understood that because of their brains are still developing, the judgment part is still not developed. So we can come to understand that adolescents are not very good with their judgment making, and this can lead to a lot of behavior. Say for example, even indulging in violent activities can also be a consequence of being poor in judgments. Unsafe sexual practices is another very important aspect of this. So since they have limited knowledge about conception, contraception, pregnancy, indicators of pregnancy or sexually transmitted diseases including the HIV, they may fall prone to lot of experimentation done on with respect to their sexuality. They can be impulsive by nature, drug and alcohol abuse can be there, and urge for experimentation. So when you look into all of these factors, impulsivity, drug and alcohol abuse, urge for experimentation, and lack of proper judgment abilities can lead to the adolescents experimenting. So for the adolescents, it has almost become a kind of a peer pressure that they need to get involved into sexual practices because all of their peers are doing it. So, and that is why, and because of their poor sense of judgment, and because they have some, I mean, they have limited knowledge about all of these issues that we were discussing previously. So, it leads to a lot of unsafe sexual practices, which is extremely detrimental for them in the long run on physical, emotional, and moral, on a moral aspects of their lives. Now, let us try to check your progress. I would want you to please try to answer these questions. Explain adolescence as a stage of development. What are the various issues and concerns at this stage? Look back at your own adolescent stage and try to identify your own experiences in the context of development of your own self identity. What are the various eating disorders prevalent in children and adolescents, and what is the role of media in promoting these disorders? Collect pictures from various media which promote any of the following: unsafe sexual practices, violent behaviors, eating disorders, and try to compile your answers and critically analyze all of them. Thank you so much.